Hey guys, so today I'm doing my MAC starter kit video and this was highly requested and I'm sorry I'm finally getting around to doing it. It just took me a while to get going with it. So when I first was preparing to do this video, I thought, oh, this should be easy, and as I started going through my MAC products, I kind of came to the realization, no, this isn't about what I like. This is about, I had to like change my frame of mind and try to remember when I was first getting into makeup and my very first time going to my MAC counter. I tried to think of things that I wish that they would have sold me that very first time, which they did not. And as I started thinking about that more and more, I realized that they were just trying to sell me like whatever. They weren't even trying to like set me up with a good, MAC starter kit. So then I realized just how important this video is. And, anyone who does the MAC starter kit video, because I totally understand, like, if you are just getting into it, I totally remember what it's like going to MAC for the first time and just being completely overwhelmed. So enough talking. Let me go ahead and get into this. Now, I broke this up into 10 categories. I know that might sound like a lot. I don't want to overwhelm you, but I didn't want to leave anything out, So I'm going to try to make this as organized as possible. So the first category is eyeshadows. Now these are the top 5 eyeshadows I wish I would have walked out with that first day I went to MAC. So I'm going to start with the brow highlight. This is Brule, and it's a satin, and it's just that perfect kind of flesh tone. It just blends out any eyeshadow beautifully and just makes a great highlight overall. For tear duct highlight, I like Dazzlelight, and this is just a nice neutral cream. For all over lid color, I like Satin Taupe. I think that goes well with a lot of different skin tones, and that is a frost. For if you're into doing like any sort of, dramatic outer corner, this is a really nice one. This is Handwritten, and it's just a nice chocolate brown, and that's a matte squared. And if you're more bolder than that, and you might want a black, Carbon is definitely my go-to black. Those make a great set of eyeshadows to have, but if you're wanting just like a one color, like all over the lid color, just one color, this is a really good one. And actually I have another one that I don't have, but I will tell you about. So this is All That Glitters, and it just makes a nice kind of like seashell, really pale pink. It's a Velux pearl, so there's a little bit of, pearliness to a little bit of frost to it. So that makes a really nice all over lid color. And you can just put that on and head out the door. Now if you want an all over lid color that you can create more of a smoky look with, Mulch, which is a velvet, is a really easy one to work with, and that looks really nice to just do a one color smoky neutral eye. Oh, you know what? I did forget to mention, as another all over lid color, Naked Lunch is a really good one. It's just a little bit lighter than All That Glitters. More like a champagne sort of color. So if you want to replace any of the ones that I just mentioned, like for a brow highlight, you might like rice paper if you want a little bit of a sheen on your brow rather than just matte. And if you wanted to replace, say, Dazzlelight and you wanted maybe more of a frosty inner corner, maybe a little bit brighter, MAC Phloof. Of course it's MAC, but Phloof is a really good one for that. It just has, it's more of like a pink white rather than a cream. And then if you are fair skin, rather than using Brule, if that turns out to be maybe too dark for you as a brow highlight, you can always replace that with Blanc type, which is a matte squared. Number 4 is blending color. Now you don't have to purchase a separate blending color if you don't want to. You can just make sure that you blend out whatever eyeshadows you are wearing really well. But if you are interested in a good blending color, this is my favorite, and this is Wedge. Now there are a few other eyeshadows that MAC has that are comparable blending colors. They're just different tones, so maybe you want to match your skin tone a little better. This one matches me really well just because it's a cooler tone. However, there's Bamboo is another really good one. It's just a little bit warmer, but still in that same kind of flesh tone family. And then another one that I don't have here to show you is Kid. which is kind of similar. I think it's probably in between Bamboo and Wedge. Number 5 is eyeshadow for brows. If you're wanting to fill in your brows with an eyeshadow, there are 2 main ones that I would recommend. If you're blonde, I would recommend Omega. And if you are brunette, I would recommend Charcoal Brown, which unfortunately I don't have anymore. I sold it in a blog sale because I wasn't using it, but that was actually one of the first eyeshadows that I purchased, and I should have purchased Omega. Number 6 is eyeliner, and I don't actually have any MAC eye pencils or eye kohls to share with you because I tend to go with Urban Decay when it comes to eye pencils. However, I do have my favorite gel liner, which is by MAC, and that is their Blacktrack Fluidline, and I've gone through several packages of these, and I absolutely love it. My all-time favorite gel liner, and I would highly recommend checking this out if you want to get into trying out gel liners. And the brush that I like to use with this is the MAC 208. And I actually purchased this brush the very first time that I went to my MAC counter, and it has never frayed out, and I've had it for several years now. And it's just a very, very fine point, and it is an angle brush, so I've always found some people don't like the angled style brushes, some just want, you know, like a little thin point, kind of like this. But I've always found that the angled ones have worked best for me personally. Okay, so I picked out 3 blushes here. However, it really depends on skin tone, so I didn't want to leave out like cool tone skin. I'm warm tone. I would say between the 3 of these that I'm going to show you here, let me just show you MAC Melba, because that is my #1 blush from MAC. Like, if all my blushes disappeared and I could only purchase one more from MAC, it would be Melba. And this is a matte, and it's just that perfect peachy glow, and I'm actually wearing that one today. And if you want one that has a little more like kind of neutral peachy tan kind of look, this is a really good one. This is the gingerly one, and that's the sheer tone. And then if you want more of a pink blush, or if you're like a cool tone skin and you just tend to go for more cooler tone blushes, this is Dame, and this is a Satin. So any of those 3 blushes, just depending on your skin tone and what you're attracted to, yeah, you can't go wrong with any of those 3. Now moving on to lipstick. So for lipstick, I picked out 3, my top 3 ones that I wish I would have walked out that first day when I went to MAC. This one is Shy Girl, and this is a cream sheen. And so that's just a nice peachy nude. And then next is Hue, and that is a glaze. So this one's kind of more, it's like a nudie pink, or it's got a little tinge of pink to it. But it's just a really perfect shade for, I think, both warm and cool skin tones. And then if you want to lean more towards the pinks, this is Cream Cup, and this is a cream sheen. So this is like a nudie pink. This is Stripdown, and Stripdown is just a really gorgeous kind of nudie beige, and it does have a bit of brown to it, but it just makes a really pretty nude lip. And then this one is Whirl, and this is kind of like a mauve-y sort of color, kind of a nice neutral mauve. And the third one that I don't have here to show you is Soar, and I wish I had it here. Unfortunately, I don't. But if you check it out online or look up swatches, you can always Google swatches of it or look it up on YouTube. It's just a really beautiful kind of nudie pink sort of color that I think would go really well with like the lipsticks that I chose, like Hue and Cream Cup. I think it would go really well with those. Number 10 is brushes, and then we are done. So for brushes, now I was kind of torn with this because I really don't think that if you are just starting out, you don't need to purchase MAC brushes. However, I didn't want to leave them out in case someone is interested in getting into MAC brushes. These two I would recommend. This one I use almost all the time. If you've watched any of my past tutorials, I've used this in pretty much every tutorial. This is the MAC 239. And this one is the MAC 217. As opposed to this one, which I'll just mention quickly here, this is the MAC 224. Some people like this. I have never liked this. I purchased this the first time that I went to MAC, and I've never been happy with it for an eye brush. It's been too big, it's too fluffy, and I was really bummed that I bought it, but I switched what I was using it for. Instead of using it on my eyes, I use it for like a highlight. So at least I could still make it work. So instead of going with that one, if you want a smaller one that you get more control over, I would go with the 217. And then for face brushes, I do use this one a lot. This is certainly my favorite contour brush here. This is the MAC 168. And sorry, I need to wash that. But it just fits the contour perfectly, going down the sides, forehead, or for bronzer too, it works beautifully, and it's just so soft. So if you want a good contour brush, I would definitely recommend the MAC 168. For blush, I like to use the MAC 129, and it is kind of big, you know, it can be a powder brush too. I think that's how MAC has it listed on their website. Powder, like multi-purpose powder blush brush. This is the MAC 182 Kabuki. I like it because it's super dense, and if I need to just buff in some powder really quickly, this is my go-to brush here. Something else I will mention in case I get questions, which I kind of felt like I might, is about paint pots, because I know those are really popular with a lot of people. I didn't add them to a category because it's not a product that I feel that you need to get started with MAC. I think that they're okay, but I can't say that I've ever fallen in love with MAC paint pots. And I can certainly, you know, you can do any look, you can achieve any look that you want without using a MAC paint pot. And also something I don't like is they dry out. So you can see around the edges there. If you don't use them up fast enough, they start to dry out, even though a little tip is storing them upside down. So even though I've stored it upside down its entire time, yeah, they still dry out. So anyways, also I find that I don't like that thickness underneath my eyeshadow. I personally just prefer just my eyeshadow, but that's just me. And of course I use my primer, so. So that's all for this video. I hope this was helpful. I hope it wasn't overwhelming. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below, and I will try my best to get back to you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.